Good morning, everybody. McLean Warren here with Liaison Marketing. It is Monday at like 7:30 a.m., so I'm officially equipped with my coffee, and I hope you all had a good weekend. I thought I would spend this morning addressing some questions that I routinely get and that I see on a lot of Facebook forums that are legitimate questions, and hopefully I can provide a little guidance and assistance for you. Usually what people are wondering, and whether it's for newbie sellers or for veteran ones that have been live on Amazon for a while, the primary question is, for listing optimizations, do I hire a professional to do it, or do I do it myself? And if I do hire a professional, how do I know the validity of their professionalism and their quality? And it's a fair question. And I will say, as a precursor to this video, I want to emphasize that the information that I'm about to provide, or guidance, I should say, is primarily for those who have been live on Amazon for a while and have seen their sales plummet, take a dive, or maybe they haven't seen any huge changes necessarily in sales, but they want to do a refresh or update on their listing. However, that all being said, for new people involved, they're just starting on Amazon, you can still use a lot of the same tips and tricks to figure out what professional services you need and how to distinguish between the high quality ones and the ones that are, simply put, BS. So with that being said, I believe there are three main things that any professional marketing firm should always ask their clients. Again, specifically, if you've already been live on Amazon, if they're not asking you these three specific questions, then run like hell, because they're not going to be able to do a thorough, proper job. So the first question would be asking for your pay-per-click reports. And that's obviously if you are running PPC, doesn't matter what kind of campaigns you're running. But for any listing optimization expert to be able to do their job, they need to know how your sponsored ads are performing. Because if, for example, you have a few phrases where the click-through rates are really high and good, they're going to want to add those terms into the listing if they're not already there. Similarly, if you have PPC terms that are actually coming up as organic and those aren't in the listing as well, those do need to be put in there. In order for someone to write a listing, they really need to know how certain keywords are performing, and pay-per-click is one of the best ways to be able to measure that. So if they're not asking for your reports, then they aren't going to be able to do a full analysis and a good analysis. So make sure they ask for that. The second thing is a little less hard to measure because it's more of an opinion, and that is that this should be really asking you what your target audience is and who your demographic is. And I don't mean just by answering in a quick report, saying, say you're selling Epsom bath salts and you say, oh, anyone that, needs a good soak or has sore muscles. Well, of course, that's what Epsom salt is going to do. Like, anyone that's writing your listing is going to know that that's the purpose behind it. However, if you do a category node analysis of Epsom salt, you'll find that there's at least 17 categories you can be in. Some of those are specific to jocks and athletes. Some of them are specific to women, pregnant women, more of the luxury, soak and baths and relax type clientele. Some of those are for elderly people and senior citizens that have, hemorrhoid problems or other issues. So while it's good to be It's good to have a product that can reach a lot of different audiences. If you're too broad, what happens is that based on what category you're put in, a lot of those target audience that the listing optimization is trying to target isn't going to be valuable. And you end up taking up valuable real estate in your listing by trying to target everything. And it also becomes an issue if you try to do advertising in social platforms outside of Facebook, because when you try to narrow down your demographics and you don't decide to narrow down your demographics and you try to be everything to everyone, it becomes incredibly pricey and you often miss the mark by doing that. So make sure that whoever's writing your listing really has a good idea of what your product does, who it's for, who it's targeting, and who it benefits. Because being everything to everyone is just going to be detrimental for the most part. And lastly, and I'm very, very particular about this, it's kind of my MO. I know I sound like a parakeet talking about it all the time, but whoever's doing your listing optimization, they need to know what's in your back end. And we can giggle about the phrasing of that all you want, but seriously, like how your back end looks is really important. And what I mean by that is your managed inventory fields. Um, a lot of the information that gets calculated in the A9 algorithm tool pulls from your managed inventory fields. And it's really important that those are set up properly. And it also is important for when someone does a diagnostic analysis when they're redoing your listing, they need to know what's back there, because if they don't know what's back there and they're just looking at your front end, then they're only doing a half-assed job. It would be the equivalent of if your car was making a noise and you took it into the mechanic and they literally only looked at part of your car and decided that they knew what was wrong without looking at the whole thing. And the reality is that the front side of your listing is only half the picture. The back end is just as important, and arguably more important, as Amazon continues to change their platform. So again, to summarize this whole video, if you're going to have someone redo your listing or even start a new one, make sure that if you're running PPC, they have all of that information and all those reports. Make sure that you've really nailed down your target audience and who you're trying to, the demographic you're trying to target. And 3, make sure that if you're not giving these people access to your, if you're not giving them admin access to your Seller Central account, at least in the managed inventory fields, at least give them screenshots. And if they're not asking you for these things, find someone else, because you simply cannot do a good quality listing optimization without having all of these things intact, okay? So hopefully they answer some of your questions. Feel free to email me at mw@liaison.marketing. You can also do a consultation with us for free. Just go to the website, liaison.marketing, set up on a consultation. I'd be happy to answer any more of these questions. And I wish you all the best in your entrepreneurial ventures. And I hope that whoever you choose to do your listing optimization does a kick-ass job and you experience nothing but success in the future. Thanks, guys.